It's now time for The Journal, WBGU-TV's award-winning public affairs program, with your host, Steve Kendall. This is where your community matters. Local people, local issues.
Hello and welcome to The Journal. I'm Steve Kendall. On September 20th, Americans will recognize National POW MIA Recognition Day. We'll remember and express support for Americans missing and unaccounted for in wartime and their families. In a moment, we'll be talking with a family member of a local POW MIA. But first, we're joined by Ralph Reynolds, the Ohio VFW POW MIA chairman. I want to welcome you to The Journal today, Mr. Reynolds. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about Recognition Day, which comes up just a few days after we're recording this. So talk about that event. It's an annual event, but what goes on at those particular things? And obviously happens all over the state of Ohio and all over the country.
Yes, it is. It's it's their sacrifice, and it's our mission that they not be forgotten. And this is a National POW MIA Recognition Day, and it is, like you say, on September 20th.
Right.
And it is a day most every day honor and remember, but this is a day specified by our government nationally that we, throughout our nation, we honor our missing, our POW MIA, prisoner of war, missing in action from all wars.
Right.
And with that, there are, I'm speaking for the VFW, and I'm hoping maybe the community, there are a lot of programs, a lot of, I don't really want to dictate it to be an event. It's not really an event.
Okay.
It's a program honoring our missing. And we do candlelight vigils, we do, we check on the families. Throughout the year, the VFW does that anyway, but that's a day where the family should be recognized as well as our missing. So it's a day, it's a very important day to veterans. And speaking for the VFW, I will tell you that next to the families, we are probably the closest to our missing because we fought beside them. VFW is Veterans of Foreign Wars, and we have fought beside our missing. So they're very, very close to us. A veteran is his promise, their promise to our missing, that they will not be forgotten.
Right.
And I myself, I've been very fortunate to be home from Vietnam for 49 years now. And if I were one of my missing from Vietnam, I'm sure that one of my comrades would be here today, representing and keeping my faith and my legacy alive as well. So basically that's what the POW MIA Prisoner of War Missing in Action Recognition Day is. But like I said, that should be every day.
Sure.
We should never forget them.
Well, and I think you make a very good point about the fact that you're there to support the families, the people that are here.
Oh yes.
And because that's a very difficult situation to be in. When you're talking MIA, POWs, because there is that unknown factor there, and that's as difficult as anything can be.
Yes, very much so. We got very close to our fallen comrades and our missing comrades when we stood beside them on the battle line, and 5 minutes later, they're gone. So that's why we do what we do.
Yeah,
that's our commitment and our promise.
Yeah. And one of the things I noticed, and we do have, I'll hold this up, I don't know if the camera people can get this, but it's a little glossy, but we'll deal with this. But this is actually the poster, and then of course the familiar graphic.
Yes.
So
you'll also see on the bottom of that poster WWDPAA.mil.
Okay.
That is Defense Prisoner of War Missing in Action Accountability Agency.
Okay.
Very important agency right now with our families and with our missing. Very important.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that happens now too is, I know, as there can be some closure because we're still recovering the remains of service people from all wars.
Yes.
And now with the ability to do a little better job of identifying that provides some closure for people as well.
The ability to, the technology to be able to technically do more is correct. We also have, I believe, a good rapport with the other countries, the senior dignities, and whether it be China, Vietnam, Europe, wherever it may be, Russia, Our country has got to, regardless what political scene is on that day, they still have to focus on their mission.
Right.
And to deal with the senior leadership from other countries to continue this. We don't want this POWMIA recognition or accountability tied up in political, endless, going nowhere. This part of it has got to continue, regardless of what's going on in the world, and it is right now. It's progressing tremendously with the other countries. And in fact, they have opened up so much more. Just within the last year and a half, they just opened up waters over around China and Vietnam. We were never able to go into the waters, and that's another reason why we're getting so many remains right now. So the diplomacy of working with the dignitaries in other countries is very important, and it's working well right now.
Yeah. Now, when you have situations like this, and obviously Ohio, I know one of the people that works for us here at the television station is involved in the VFW pretty heavily, and he provided me with a book that contains all the names of the 75 MIAs from Vietnam. How do you, when you're reaching out to these people, because obviously this is something that's happened over a large number of years, what are the kind of ways that people can get in contact with the appropriate people with the VFW if you're an MIA family and you're looking at dealing with this and maybe you've never come forward before? What's the best way for them to get in touch with someone like you?
We have, in the VFW, we have national, we have department, we have district, and we have post level.
Okay.
And we have post level, department is in each state.
Okay.
Post level is at pretty much, well, there's 336 posts within Ohio. Okay. So there's a lot of posts that any family, any member, any community, any concerned citizen can go to. It's a organization that belongs to Veterans of Foreign Wars. It is ran by Veterans of Foreign Wars, but our doors are always, and phone is always open to families and the community. I'm not going to get in deep on what all we do for the communities, but we do a lot. But for the families and veterans that are able and eligible to join the VFW, we encourage you to do so. Right. But we reach out, not only do they reach out to us, but we reach out to families as well. Okay. We don't just sit inside the doors. We go, we are hats in the crowd, so to speak. And we get out and we look for the families. We look for the veterans. We look for DPAA, the organizations, National League of Family, anyone that has anything to do with veterans, whether it's a war veteran or just a veteran and are missing and the families. That's our mission. Right. That's the VFW's mission. So we're out looking for them as well. So we're not sitting back waiting on them, but they can contact any VFW. And they will gladly.
They'll put them in touch with the right.
Absolutely. And gladly do so, yes.
Now, of course, one of the things we're looking at too is, and this event happens, or excuse me, this particular recognition day happens on the 20th of September. It's an annual event celebrated and recognized across the country. When you look at this situation where you've got POWs, potentially MIAs, how does the VFW work to try and maybe lobby and try to make sure that the government doesn't leave people behind?
Yes, extensively. Actually, the VFW has programs that they're required to do for veterans throughout the year. From the end of May to the 1st of June, that's our yearly calendar. And we have programs that we do. And POWMIA, Prisoner of War Missing in Action, is one of our programs. From post level, district, department, all the way to national. And the program, we actually meet at National Convention for National every year, and we have a POWMIA Resolutions Committee and a Veterans Resolution Committee that the membership, our committee sits down and we come up with resolutions throughout the year, our demand for accountability. At that one time a year, we sit down at National Convention and we come up, and it's what a convention is. It's not just a get-together. We work resolutions for women, for veterans, for POWs. That's when we come up with our resolutions. And when the membership approves what our committees do, we'll sit in a committee, and we want to step up our resolutions with, say, Russia. We don't believe our ties with the senior citizens are getting us anywhere. What can we do? So we sit there for a few days and we come up with ideas that we can increase our concern and our accountability. And then when the membership, we take it back in front of the membership, and when they approve it, then we have we have officers that go to Washington, D.C. And they present this to the politicians in Washington, Congress, senators, whoever. And then they do listen. They do take we've sat in front of the Senate 23 times now in the past couple of years, voicing our opinions on POWMIA and veterans issues.
And issues like that.
Yeah, and this happens, and again, all the way back to post level. Our POWMIA, one of our programs is POWMIA, and there are different things you can do to help this issue. One, maybe displaying the POWMIA, and I say POWMIA a lot, but what I'm saying is prisoner of war missing in action.
Sure.
That's okay, and I don't want to use that POWMIA flauntingly, but if you display the POWMIA flag outside your post, we have what we refer to as a missing man table. It is a table set up for our missing, and I have one of those here with me. I'll leave you a copy. Okay. We do programs within our schools. We go into our schools and we explain to them what the POWMIA issue is, what it means. Even on our flags, our POWMIA flags, we get a lot of the younger kids that we love working with. Okay. What is POWMIA? Yeah. Because that's what it says on the flag. So it's prisoner of war missing in action. But going into schools, we do vigils. Actually, just 2 days ago, we set up, Saturday night, we set up, it's our District 2 VFW annual vigil, POWMIA vigil. Okay. And we invite the community, we invite all the posts in our district, 20 posts in our district. They bring their color guard, the members come, the auxiliary and the regular members work together for this program, and we do a candlelight vigil for our missing every year. Yeah.
Could you maybe stay with me for just a couple
sure.
more? They want me to go to a break, but I'd like to talk more about this. So if you could stay for just a few more minutes.
Yeah, sure.
We'll be back in just a moment with Ralph Reynolds from the Ohio VFW POWMIA chairperson. We'll talk with him more in just a moment. Back in just a moment here on Journal. Thank you for staying with us here on the Journal. Our guest is Ralph Reynolds, the Ohio VFW POWMIA chairperson. And we were talking, of course, about National POWMIA Recognition Day, which comes up on September 20th. But along with that, ongoing, besides just that one particular day, this is basically an everyday sort of situation for VFW. And you were talking about some of the other things, the other programs and other activities you guys do. So continue with some of those things too, other things that VFW is doing to support current military personnel and, of course, veterans and POWs and MIAs.
Okay. Yeah. They do have an extensive program for even the veterans. They have like the Operation Uplink, which is we sponsor and the VFW provides. It's actually phone service, free phone service for all deployed servicemen and women. And it is 3 days a week that it's free all day for them to get back into the rear and to call home and make their. Of course, a lot of that now has dwindled a little bit because of the Facebook and the social media, which is great because in Vietnam it took us 3 months to get a letter.
I was going to say, which might as well have been.
There's technology. Yeah. So that and along with the DPAA, with their technology of DNA, it has progressed so much that that's why we're getting so many home, because it has progressed like everything else. Sure. But we have like unmet needs where members and families say their husband or the wife may be deployed and they're having a hardship at home, whether it's financially or what it may be, health or medical. That's another unmet needs is another program that we have within the VFW. And we have, of course, the POWMIA, which there's several ways I was talking about earlier, several ways that you can support that program. One, displaying the flag, the missing man table, going into the community. And now this year, and I'd like to say it this year, I'm very proud of, as the state POWMIA chairman, I have talked with the state commander, Dan Faulkner, and he's the one that has appointed me to this position. But I have asked him if we could do a DPAA, which again is the Department of Prison War Missing in Action Accountability Agency, if we could do a donation to this agency, because basically they are our candle right now. They are the ones that's bringing them home. Okay, so they're very important to families, community, and us. And he acknowledged that, and he Department and National VFW sat down with DPAA to check this out to see if this could be done, and it has actually been done. He gave me the permission. It is in our books in the whole state of Ohio. It is now every VFW's position that they can make a donation, a monetary donation, to help DPAA in this search and rescue of remains. So I'm very proud of that. So that's one. That's a new one this year. And we have other means. Adopt a unit. You can adopt a unit that's. You can adopt them before they deploy, and during their whole deployment, you're there for them. We have, me and my wife has done that, and we send them computers, we send them different AC, DC plugs, and different countries have different batteries. We can send them whatever they might need. We send care packages. All of the posts will get together and we'll notify each other through social media. We're doing a care package. So we collect addresses and names, and then the VFWs all converge to one VFW, and we put hygiene items and some things, edibles and things that the veterans might use and could need, and we send them over for their deployment. So that's another one. MAP is actually a military assistance program, and again, that's working with units for such as grants, educational grants when they return home. We have a lot of grants that we pass out and give out to veterans when they get home to get back into the schooling and help them accomplish the schooling. We have a lot of programs. The VFW has a lot of programs, and I want the public to understand that the VFW is a veterans organization. It's not an uptown pub. We have a lot of programs, and I'm not even naming half of them. We have community programs, we have youth programs, we have family service programs. We have a lot of, but I'm just going to kind of stick with the veterans and the POW today. But I just want the public to know that the VFW has a lot of programs,
a lot of resources, and a lot of support within the community and for the community as well.
Oh, absolutely, for the community. Yes, a lot of support for the community. We do. It's tremendous how much of the youth. Again, I'm not going to get off track of my veterans and our POWs, but our youth in our community, we probably $30,000 a year for sports teams, their equipment, their trips, we support our schools and we support our youth in the community. That's highly too. That's one of our programs, community. So.
Well, and you mentioned schools, because one of the things I know that schools especially have become much more attuned to having veterans come in and talk about their experiences and recognize the service and that sort of thing, which is good, because history can be forgotten. That's part of the issue we deal with. That things are easy to slip away, and we need those kind of reminders. So good.
Yeah, they did a lot of things on Veterans Day. We've worked with the Wapakoneta Middle School now for 16 years on Veterans Day, and we go in and work with the students for a Veterans Day program, and we get 400 or 500 veterans that come to this program, and to me it's a win-win situation, because not only is it honoring our veterans, but it's also honoring, it's teaching and educating our students too. And in middle school, that is a very prime age to mentor,
bring that forward.
And our VFWs all get involved in that. And so again, that's community. But as far as our, the veterans, we go pretty deep with veterans programs. There's nothing we won't do for a veteran. That is VFW's #1 mission.
And it's obvious you represented it very well today. I appreciate you taking the time, and the door is always open for you guys.
I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're doing today. Obviously for the VFW, but for the families. I really appreciate what you're doing for the families and what you're doing for our POW MIA, Prison War Missing in Action. To me, that's what this is about, and on behalf of the VFW and all the members, I can say thank you.
Oh, okay, well, thank you so much for coming in today, Mr. Reynolds. Appreciate it. We'll be back in just a moment. We're going to have a family member of a POW MIA back in a moment here on The Journal. Thank you for staying with us on The Journal here today, and we're talking about POW MIA Recognition Day, which is September 20th. And right now we're joined by a family member, a sister of a POW MIA, Linda Terwilliger-Bleschke. Thank you so much for being on the program today. Let's talk a little bit about your brother. Hey, we're gonna struggle through this a little bit, but go right ahead and let's talk about your brother and his service.
Well, he found out he was going to be drafted, so he decided he wanted to go into the Marine Corps.
Ah, okay.
So
this is Vietnam.
Yeah, this is Vietnam.
Okay.
And so he signed up for the Marine Corps under a delayed program so he could have some time at home yet before he went. And
yeah. And what year is this?
Okay, that was in 1966.
1966, okay.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, the heart of, when things were really starting to get, gear up in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he went on an aircraft carrier to Vietnam.
Okay.
And he writes in his letters about getting seasick.
Oh, which he's from McClure, Ohio, just down the road from us a little bit. Not something he was used to, being out on the open seas in an aircraft carrier. Right.
And he talks about getting sick. He says it's okay when it's not rolling, but when it
rolls a lot.
It rolls a lot. Yeah.
So so what part of the Marines? What do you know? What unit he was in? That sort of thing. Is that something you can?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah.
It's on this letter here.
Oh, okay.
It's the HMM 163rd.
Oh,
he was in. He was actually a clerk.
Oh, okay.
And he volunteered to be a machine gunner on the helicopter in order to get his wings. He wanted his wings.
Oh, wow. So
and on one of his first missions, he was shot down.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And how long had he been in Vietnam when that had happened? Not very long, obviously.
No, he'd only been in country a couple months when that happened.
Right.
And
now I know you brought a large. I know you've got a large stack of letters here. So obviously there was a lot of correspondence even in that time frame. You have the last letter there. Talk a little bit about that.
I have Mom's last letter that she wrote to Verge, and it was dated March 9th.
Okay, right.
And he was killed March 13th.
Ah, wow.
So
it didn't really reach him then.
No, it didn't reach him then, and and she got it back. Right. And I was reading it the other day, and she talks about what eventually was going to be my husband. And she tells him he's a pretty nice guy, you know. Yeah, but.
Well, and it's interesting because as we were talking with Mr. Reynolds about the fact that was really the only form of communication, the mail, letters. There were no cell phones, there was no social media, no way to communicate other than the written word, which of course had delays built into it because of simply transporting it from the United States to wherever a service person was. Yeah.
I know before he went to Vietnam, he wasn't supposed to come home.
Oh.
They didn't want him to come home, but he wanted to come home. Yeah.
Okay, right.
So he got a bus and he came home, and then he didn't have the money to go back. And so he borrowed the money from the Red Cross.
Oh, to go back so he could go back to his base or back to where his deployment location was going to be.
Right. And he was still paying that back when he got shot down. But thank God he got to come home.
Yeah. That's good, because that would have been difficult. How old was your brother?
He was just shy of 2 months of being 21.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So
he was shot down March 13th, and he would have turned 21 May 8th.
Oh wow, yeah. Why do you think he? I mean, he wanted his wings, but This is somebody who was trained to basically be a rear echelon person, not to be in the out front.
Right. I don't know. Dad always told him. Dad told him, don't volunteer for anything, because Dad lost his brother at the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh, okay.
And he volunteered, you know. So
sure.
and Dad says, don't volunteer for anything. So what he wanted to get his wings.
Well, but, yeah.
And one of his friends told him that if Burge complained that he wasn't getting any action.
Ah.
So
yeah.
a friend of his, Aaron, told him to fly out of Dang Ha. And then first mission he went out, he got shot down.
Okay.
And then Aaron carried a guilt for a long time.
For feeling somebody who's responsible.
So he got a chance to come and meet us.
Okay.
He came in the 80s, and I think I give him some peace.
Yeah. Well, difficult for everybody involved. Extreme.
Right.
Doesn't even come close.
Well, I have to believe that it was his time.
Yeah.
You know? It's no matter where he would have been, it was his time.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think too, and I know we were talking before the program a little bit, and someone said he was there helping other people.
Right.
Helping his people on the ground. So.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
So we never really got a chance to
right.
put him to rest until we got to talk to the only survivor of the helicopter crash.
Okay. Who could kind of tell you what had happened and how it had happened.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you have too, I know you brought with us, we've got just a moment or so. That's the telegram you received from the government.
Yes.
Okay, telling you that he had been killed in action.
Yeah. He never was an MIA. He was always KIA.
KIA. Okay. All right. Yeah. Now, were you guys aware that he was flying? He was actually going to be.
Yeah, Mom wasn't real happy about it.
Yeah. Okay. But he did at least because that would have been a terrible shock to have found out on top of everything else. That what was he doing there to begin with?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they weren't happy about it, but you
well,
know, sometimes people have to do what they have to do.
Yeah. Well, as you said.
Yeah.
Courage ran in the family, apparently.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, Linda, I want to thank you so much for coming in. It's been difficult for you, a little difficult for me too.
Yeah.
But we appreciate the fact that you came in and talked about this, and so everybody can be aware of your brother's sacrifice. So appreciate that very much.
He was the 8th child out of 12.
Oh my gosh. So yeah. So good. Well, we remember him today and all the folks that served and did their duty. So appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. And again, Virgil Byron Terwilliger, Lance Corporal, Marines. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Journal. Thank you for bearing with us through this, and we'll see you again next time on the Journal here on WBGU-TV.